I'm sorry for leaning so close to the camera, but I wanted to make a very quick video because I feel it's important that we continue to have this connection in an online platform. And so forgive me if the audio isn't great and the lighting isn't great, but this is the time I have to connect with you and talk about a little more about what I wanted you to learn when we say establishing the world of your story. And you read two scripts, The Godfather and Aliens. And we are going to focus on those different worlds and how the setup of the worlds is a great setup for your overall plot and the story and your characters and the themes. And so I'm going to be unfortunately looking at notes as I'm talking to you because like I said, I want to make this a really quick video. So it's just an addendum really to the lesson on building the world of your story. Let's look first at Aliens, and by page 6, actually by page 5, we know this world. We're in outer space, and it's not of our world here on Earth. By page 9, there's dialogue that says, we're not home, only halfway back to Earth. That is very telling. That's foreshadowing, that's setup. There's some subtext in that line. And then we get an SOS. Possible intelligent origin must be investigated. So from the setting now, we're getting, and from the setting, and the dialogue, the setting that we're in a spaceship, we're in outer space, and the dialogue, the character is speaking in science terms. It's not your average conversation. Equatorial orbit nailed. 3.45, I don't know what N-C means, M squared, etc. But do you see that it's not just in the description or the action lines of the spaceship? It's not just telling us that we're in outer space. We know that these are scientists, maybe astronauts, so the language they speak has to be consistent with that profession. We also hear the tension in this dialogue, which is building to the fact that this may not just be a fun, feel-good space story or a cute little alien E.T. movie, but there's something looming, and that is all being told in the dialogue and how the characters are reacting into the setting, into the tension, into the mood. Constant tension is rising from the unexpected, from the unknown. So now our genre is pretty much solidified. And that is also something that the world of this story identifies. We're still in darkness. There's moments of nothing, then an electrical fire. By page 20, we're into Act 2. They're out on to an actual planet. And I thought this was a great action line. Like divers at the bottom of the sea. When you call yourself a writer, have you ever read, there's novels, and then there's novels of literary merit. I challenge you as writers to write with literary merit. That is also supposed to be applied to screenwriting as it would a great novel. So lines like action lines. This isn't dialogue. This is a description to help us as the reader to see this on the screen. Like divers at the bottom of a dark sea. What an analogy. So when you write with analogies to help your audience, to help your readers, to help your producers see how this is going to end up on the screen. Atmosphere is turning the color of blood. The sun is up, a gargantuan spaceship. I'm emphasizing these very telling words, these words that show, actually, not tell. Forget that I said telling words. These words that show. Screen shows blow up of helmeted skeletal head, not human. In the spacecraft, we get a description. On the floor are rows of leathery, of ovoid shapes. I emphasize, the onomatopoeia, right, of leathery. Actually, maybe it's not onomatopoeia. It's what's that other one? Forgive me, I'm blanking right now. it'll come to me. But Cain says, the place is full of leathery things. What a description, right? Something has absolutely changed. The opaque surface begins to clear. Objects is becoming visible within. And then I'm going to emphasize, and here in my notes I highlight it, with shocking violence, a small creature smashes outward, fixes itself to his mask. Sizzling sound. The creature melts through the mask. It attaches itself to Cain's face. Cain tears at the thing with his hands, and his mouth is forced open. He falls backwards. Note the choice of words, consistent with the world of the story. The dialogue, the action is consistent with the world of the story. It's not some cute alien story, as I said earlier. This is a thriller. This is grotesque. This is violent. These aliens are not our friends, and we know that by things like shocking violence, smashes outward, tears, sizzling, mouth forced open. By page 36, they are bringing this organism or species, dangerous, something dangerous, onto the ship. Well, that's never a good sign. So, into the second act, we've established time and place, the setting and the mood, right, with the tension and the fear and what's coming around the corner, what's happening next, and the atmosphere. Things like sizzling, atmosphere turning the color of blood, that's all established. So while this may seem like the outer space, we know there is another layer at work in this story. There's a variation here of what is real. We see how the aliens and humans coexist. We understand clearly in the first act the feel and look of the world. The world of the story here is a character, alien. An alien. That is a major character. In fact, the title is the character, alien. This is a dangerous world. The characters in our story must contend with the hostile alien. And then amongst the human characters, there is their own hostility with Ash, who secretly was planning on bringing the alien back, who tried to strangle Ripley, and then turns out to be an android, not even a human. This is a survival story. Our central character, the alien, wants to survive, but also Ripley, it's her will to survive. So then there's the Godfather, and we're talking about a whole different world here. The crime world, the mobster world, and this too is scary as an alien in a different way. Different because this is real. It's a world we may not live in day to day, that we don't know other than what we're told in stories or in the news, but it's still scary to us. Bonacera said it in the first few pages of the script, or actually Vito Corleone said it for him. Bonacera found paradise in America, where he thought the police were his friends protecting him, and the courts of law were protecting him and his daughter. But then, what happened to his daughter? The police weren't there, and even then when the two men who basically raped her, took advantage of her, the police didn't protect the daughter. The court system didn't protect his daughter because they let them go. We lose our loved ones to violence, and those who committed the crimes sometimes go free. And who will take matters into their own hands? The mob will. Who will correct the wrong done to a loved one? The mob will, out of duty, out of loyalty, because of family, your family, the mob. And then in our story, we move into the family event. What better event for family is there than a wedding? Thematically, we know at this point that family is key here. It is an underlying theme. It is an underlying character, family. In other words, Michael talks to Kay about Tom, a kid found on the street without a home, without a family, And so Michael's father, Vito, took him in, and he's never been let go because of loyalty. Tom has been with the family ever since. He's, as Michael quotes, important to the family. Then Vito says, page 16, and then again, this is just to bring home, right, some of the themes and the world of our story, some symbolism, the atmosphere, the setting, the mood. Vito says, because a man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man. So what are we going to be seeing in this story? Real men. And those who are not real men get sort of obliterated, in other words. Also, when talking business, even dirty business, Vito says, I have a sentimental weakness for my children, and I spoil them, as you can see. And then he goes on to say, never tell anybody outside the family what you're thinking again. After business during the wedding reception, Vito says, I'd like to go to my daughter's wedding. Again, his daughter is what is most important to him, his family. There's a family portrait. Michael goes into the portrait. What a foreshadow. What subtext. What a setup, right? So things like that, as I pointed out in Alien, are key. This is master storytelling, because every action, every word, every line, everything is driven by subtext for a purpose. Michael going into the portrait is it shows us what is to come, what is important to him as well, his family. He's there, right? He may not always have been there. He may not always want to be there because he thinks he wants a separate life. But we see this man, Michael, loves his family. And so choices he's going to make in this story, in this plot, are for his family. Our main character is Michael, not Vito. And Michael is going to change his way for the worse out of loyalty and duty to his family. He thinks he is doing something right. He's doing right by his family. And now he is a man. He is a man because he is spending time with his family. The language, the dialogue, Sicilian, grazie, prego, that shows us the characters are consistent with this world that has been set up. We have a son who clearly was separate from the rest, but now who is coming back, like the prodigal son. In page 31, then we get to the foreshadow, basically, or the start of violence. Tom is kidnapped. Sollozzo calls to say, your boss is dead. That's a threat, a real threat. We know a war, a mob war is coming. It's upon us in this plot. The world is violent, it's scary, and everything that will drive the decisions of Michael will be for his family, as it was with Vito Corleone, his father. So I think it's clear actually now how the world of our stories are so important in setting up the plot and setting up the characters, but it needs to be consistent throughout to the end. If you have any questions, you know where to find me.